Hey, good afternoon. Welcome to one of the first Base Creative webinars. Thanks first for you guys who've joined us so far. I expect to see a few more people arrive in a couple of minutes. But just to give this webinar a bit of an introduction, I don't know about everyone else. Well, I'm somewhat sure about other people, but I'm feeling pretty uncertain. There's so much change, and all this change has happened in a blink of an eye. I don't know how it's affecting other industries, but in digital, there's some insights that my team want to share on search trends, social media usage, but also how businesses are transforming their proposition and also their marketing. So we've come here today to discuss these topics. We will be recording this and putting the recording online and sharing that with you so you can share that with your colleagues and maybe others who couldn't make it today. I want you guys to come away feeling encouraged, maybe a little less anxious. There is a big difference between opportunism and opportunity, but we hope to give you some ideas and how we can all stay afloat during these rapidly changing times. Digital is by no means to the rescue, but I hope to offer some suggestions where some can pivot, or maybe it's what opportunities need to be ramped up. This is live, so it may feel a little bit unpolished. We're going to answer questions as we go. On the right-hand side, you should be able to see a chat window. All your questions and comments will appear there. They'll be seen by all, so bear that in mind. And if we have some time at the end, we'll be able to get round to answering those. For others, we're going to show some details at the end about how you can get in touch. So feel free to reach out to us separately. All right, before I hand over to Anna, just a bit of context. So we've seen a 50% increase in web traffic this quarter. Now, naturally, web traffic does grow year on year, but this increase has definitely been down to the reliance on the internet due to the coronavirus concerns. There's people who employ social distancing or during the lockdown need to stay at home. Others who may not have normally been desk-bound are now finding new ways to do work at home, at a desk, or just have to sit on a sofa watching Netflix or other video on demand services or online gaming. Through that, though, we've seen a massive change in some search trends, while others have also been unaffected. We've also seen how some businesses are transitioning their activity and their marketing. And also, we've got some great insights about the impact on social media. So we've got three of Base Creative's experts. I normally do most of the talking, but today it will be these guys. So I've thrust them into the limelight to show you some of the immediate impacts. This information is fresh, so we haven't quite yet made perfect sense of it. So it's a bit of an evolving beast, but you guys have got first dibs on it. So the three people you're going to hear from: Anna, who will be talking about search marketing. She's also taken the stage at Brighton SEO a couple of years ago, talking about search intent. Greg, if we manage to get him back, who talking about web optimization. He also has helped many of our clients on their digital business strategy. And Becca on social media, who recently gave a talk at Sharing Social, which is Base Creative's flagship in-person meetup that we're now transitioning online. And her talk was on TikTok. We've got around 30 minutes. Hopefully we'll get through some questions at the end. Don't forget to write that on the right-hand side. After some time, we'll review them. So, talking first off, let me put the slide on for Anna. I'm going to hand over to Anna Corbett, who's head of search at Base Creative, to talk about some search trends.
Thanks, Ian. Corbett, please. Corbett. Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining us today. So most of you know that I focus on search. So whether that is organic search or appearing in search engines with ads, or making the most out of appearing anywhere in the search landscapes, whether that's via featured snippets, which appear at the top on search, or maps, anything where you can basically appear. That's what my specialty is. So today I am going to talk to you about search trends, specifically looking at some interesting trends in business, but also in consumer topics. So kind of comparing the two a little bit. I'm going to start with looking at topics that have seen increases in search demand. So those who've seen a considerable increase, and then the next lot will be those who've seen a decrease, so not so good. And then some also have been unaffected, as Ian mentioned earlier. So that's kind of the structure of what I'm going to talk about. And if you think, while I'm talking through these search trends and talking about these topics, that they don't actually apply to your business, they're not really relevant to you, what they do show is that there's a very, very clear user trends, and those analyzing and understanding those user trends is really going to help us come up with a strategy to make sure we weather this crisis. So it's really about understanding user behavior. I like to talk about that a lot. And if you feel like there's a few topics that you want to explore and you want to look at user trends for those topics, then you can let us know in the comments. And after I finish my bit, I will go and have a look at whether I can find some of those search trends out for you too. So do let us know. So starting off with some topics that have increased in search demand, although in this very instance, the increase isn't really a very positive one, because as you can imagine, this is the travel industry and they're really suffering. And the search increase is for cancellation and refunds and how to, basically get all of our money back for all of the holidays that we have booked and can't go on now. So people are looking to get their money back, and that's why those searches are peaking right now. I suspect that will calm down in the next few weeks once we've all got our money back. But having spoken to some peers who work with the travel sector, they've told me that a lot of travel companies they're turning off all of their ads, so focusing less on Google ads and ads elsewhere, not to drive any more leads because they won't get any right now. Nobody's booking holidays, that's for sure. But they're focusing all of that money that they're saving on ads on SEO, so organic search, to make sure that they prepare themselves for the eventual spike that's going to happen once all of the travel restrictions are lifted, because they know that once that's done, people are going to want to go away. They're going to want to book a holiday and just, get out of their houses, and they're really getting
Ian, sorry, I don't know if anyone can.
Hello. Technical issues.
Yeah.
You can hear me now. Right. Okay, thanks. So where was I? Okay, so people still need to escape. Even though they can't go on holiday, they still need to get some kind of relief, some sort of entertainment. So they're turning to videos on demand. So this is one for Netflix. As you can see, that's doubled over the last few weeks. Incredible increase in search demands. And the same can be said for online gaming. So people are trying to plug that gap, that time gap that they now have, where they would normally be out commuting, socializing, traveling, being out with their friends in pubs, etc. They need to plug that time because they're stuck indoors. So anything that offers online entertainment right now is going to be doing really very well. Then let's have a look at the same kind of personal aspect, which is online fitness. So people still need to stay fit. And with the gyms closed, I know that a lot of people are turning to online services. I know that Ian uses his balcony for a gym. I stick to my twice a day yoga, which is, again, online. And I think that a lot of people are doing the same thing. So online fitness has seen a growth 3 or 4 times over the last few weeks. And fitness instructors and gyms are pivoting really quickly to make sure that they claim their space in this already crowded space. The next one is again looking at the healthy living, which is food, having food delivered to your house, but not necessarily, your normal takeaways. This is home cooking or restaurant style cooking delivered to your house. So HelloFresh is one of those examples, and they're doing really well here. This is a branded search, so you can see the incredible increase that they've seen. So again, people want to recreate some of that normality and get restaurant style cooking in their house. So overall, looking at all of these trends that we've just looked at, we can see that users are adjusting. They're trying to claw back a little bit of normality, and they're adjusting to this new reality, and they're using search and online services to really look after themselves. But that's the personal angle. I'd like to move a little bit more to the business angle now, because obviously businesses are in a huge state of flux right now, and they need to shift. They need to shift on how they're working. We're all working from home. That works great for us, but other businesses are not in that situation. So how are they using search and online services to weather that crisis? Understandably, business advice, as we can see here, is a topic that's seen a huge increase in search demand, especially after last week's announcement from the government about funding and support. So there's huge amounts of interest and similar terms around finance, funding, government help, any kind of help with staffing or employment, or even office space. So government support and those kind of queries around that have seen a huge spike. So that's it for positive increases here from the impact that the virus has had on search demand. Let's move over to some negatives or declining topics. First of all will be recruitment. So searches for jobs in London have decreased by 50% over the last few weeks. That's huge. But I suspect that this is only a temporary dip, because once people adjust to this new landscape, they're going to look for jobs again. It's not like everything's stopping. The world's still moving on. People still need to somehow get an income, and especially those who might have lost their job or might be losing income because they are freelance and some of their work has dried up, and will be looking for jobs again. So I suspect that if we look back at this in a month's time, the picture will be quite different. Looking to another decrease in search demand is fashion. So this is a search for ASOS. You can see quite a drastic fall over the last few weeks. And again, I think this is going to be very temporary, because of course we have hugely different priorities now. Nobody's going to look out for fashion right now, because we need to make sure we stay afloat. We look after ourselves. We cope with this whole new situation, and most of us will be working at home in pajamas, so nobody needs new fashion. But as we adjust to this new climate, and as we get maybe a little bit of fatigue about economic crisis and uncertainty, we're going to look for those things again, for things that make us feel good, and fashion plays such a major role in that. So I think that people will return to fashion, and this will go up again. It might not necessarily return to the sales volumes that we might have seen before, but the interest and the kind of research phase of the users looking for new fashion will come back strong. And obviously, as seasons change, people still need a new wardrobe. So I'm pretty certain that this is only a temporary dip. Looking at some sectors, topics that have stayed fairly untouched by this whole situation, financial advice, for example. So you can see there's not really in dips here, because people still need it, and maybe even need it more at the moment. But we can't see anything particular in there that shows an increase. And this is looking at a much wider time span. So this is looking at through the last 3 months. So you can see there's not been much change. And then looking at another similar sector, legal advice remains relatively unchanged, although there's a slight dip at the end. But for the legal sector, I suspect that a focus on keeping personal interactions alive is going to be quite important. So looking at things like face-to-face video calls to replace meetings rather than just relying on normal phone calls, just because you get that extra level of personal interaction. And to keep relevant and on top of people's minds, things like webinars, like something like this, might be an option and could be of interest to just create or sustain the interest that you've had, or the legal sector's had in the past with their audiences. So to sum up, if you're interested in looking at the different trends in your topic, in your industry, go to trends.google.com and you'll be able to do any searches yourself and find out how this is affecting your sector. Really think about how your audience is going to gain access to your services or to your products, or how your audience is going to interact with you within this crisis. Is it still going to be, are you still relevant to them while this is all happening in lockdown, or do you need to shift? And then think about what's coming. Think about changing your marketing to either adjust to your business pivoting, so adjust to promoting your services online. Or if you can't do that right now, if that's not going to work for your business model, look to the future. What's going to happen? This is not a forever situation. So think about what you can do now, what you can invest in now to make the most of at the end. Once this is, this blows over and we kind of return to a certain level of normality. And I think Becca's going to talk a little bit later about how you can leverage your community and community building and just staying in the forefront of people's minds and building trust right now, because you can certainly do that with social media. So that's all from me.
Great. A level of normality. That is the day I'm looking forward to, 100%. Thanks, Anna, for that. And apologies for the technical glitch midway through. We've got some questions and some space on the right. I've also put in the link Anna mentioned as well, so you can click on that in case you missed it to find out search trends you want. If you've got some search trends you'd like us to look at during this webinar, Anna can come back to them at the end, so you can whack them in there if you prefer, or you're not quite sure how to use that tool. Next up, we've got Greg, who's head of web experience at Base Creative. You may have remembered in the intro when I had all three guys up on screen that Greg hasn't yet done a talk. So this will be Greg's debut talk, and under these circumstances, so go easy on him. Over to Greg.
Well, it's all right. Everyone else is muted, so that makes it slightly easier, although, of course, comments are always there. Hi, everyone. Very nice to be here. Thank you. It's nice to see so many people already getting involved. Obviously, it was because they couldn't hear what was going on, but at least it's nice to see you're getting stuck in. So, as Ian says, I'm Greg, head of web optimization here at Base Creative. For those who haven't come across the term web optimization, it's the next evolution of web development. So we're analyzing how users are interacting with websites, landing pages. We make some small measurable changes to encourage those users to stay longer, and then maybe they'll perform an action that we want them to do. So we're trying to always improve, optimize on what it is the website's trying to achieve for us. So today, I'm going to be looking at what changes businesses have already made to enable themselves to continue trading during this lockdown. We'll look at some examples from different sectors and how we might be able to apply those across our sectors. So firstly, meetups and events. These, very much like this one, can be used for seminar marketing, using video conferencing tools like Zoom, Google Hangouts, Demio, as we're using here. Of course, there are loads of others available, and it's all about choosing the one that's going to suit your purpose. Each one of them can be monetized, say by using a ticketing system like Eventbrite, or Zoom has an integration available with PayPal, so you can monetize it that way. Existing meetups can be taken from offline to online. So if you already run something like a meetup, you can simply move it online. If we have a look at the next slide, you can see, you should recognize it. That's Demio, one of the examples we gave, and you're looking at Demio right now. That's what we're using for this webinar. It's got some nice features like the integrated chat you've been using on the right-hand side, presenter view, so obviously you can see us and you can see the slides we're looking at. Now, of course, it's very straightforward to get this software and start chuntering away as I am. You do need to consider some things while delivering this type of content. The setup, obviously, at the moment, we're all working from home, so you can see various slightly random backgrounds behind us. You can hear some banging in the background because there are some builders outside. My children are probably just outside the door, so this is not the perfect scenario, but I think we're all making do at this time. Of course, you've got the camera to think about, the sound, assuming that's working, lighting, technical issues if anything goes wrong, but they're not insurmountable. And the most important thing is to focus on the content, because particularly at times like this, people are much more tolerant and everyone's looking for useful content. So they'll tend to let you off if there's a slight technical glitch, or at least that's what I'm hoping. As Anna mentioned earlier, moving on to fitness. Fitness has seen a huge upsurge in popularity, probably because exercise is one of the few things the government is allowing us to go outside for. But of course, with a complete ban on group exercising, online training is becoming really big. So online training sessions are being delivered through platforms like Facebook Live, Instagram Live, YouTube, lots of other recorded video platforms. I'm sure if you have children or if you're an early riser, you'll know all about Joe Wick's 9:30 a.m. slot on YouTube. My family does it every morning, uses up all the bandwidth in the house, so I have nothing I can do work-wise, but they seem to really get on with it. And there's another example. If we have a look here, the getmefit.co is a platform that allows fitness instructors who already run offline sessions to launch their own Zoom broadcast. And that's been set up specifically in response to this coronavirus situation. So you can see that people are moving their existing activities online. Hospitality, where possible in hospitality, bars and other drinking establishments are moving to the online subscription model. So we've had a subscription model with wine for years. You think about Laithwaites and Virgin Wines and others. And now lots of others are working to get their products online. So, for example, Glasshouse Beers in Birmingham saw £2,500 of pre-orders when they announced to their fairly small Twitter audience that they were home delivering beer. Now, obviously, who doesn't want home delivered beer at a time like this? But the point is that it's easy to start using tools like Shopify if you have a physical or digital product to sell. Now, obviously, physical products need delivery, which definitely needs careful consideration at the moment. But as the Glasshouse Beers example shows, you don't need a huge audience or to deliver nationwide to have a noticeable impact on your bottom line. And particularly if you're delivering a digital product, that just isn't an issue. In terms of educational and paid for content, there's the option of producing or even better, repurposing digital content, which again can be downloaded and monetized through off-the-shelf products like Shopify, as we just saw. This works really well for anything that can be produced in digital format like ebooks. And here, fulfillment is handled entirely by the Shopify platform. So solves a lot of operational issues, just lets you get on with producing the content again, which is what we're all about, delivering that content. And if you have a community of people who regularly meet in person, it's fairly straightforward to use out-of-the-box apps like Disciple, which is a white label social platform. Disciple also includes the ability to monetize access, so you can move to a paid group online. So here's a shot of Disciple, and you can create an account, invite your existing community to join it, and monetize the access in the same way you might monetize a meetup or a networking event. Plenty of communities do this online already, but by using closed or private Facebook groups, giving access once people pay outside Facebook, this solution solves the manual process of monetization and membership. Have a look at Disciple Media if you're interested in that example. So, to sum up, what can you do to avoid losing out from the changes that have been forced upon us in recent days? The key is to understand the core value of what your organization does to the customer, client, or audience, and then consider how to move that value online. Perhaps you offer a service which can be digitally delivered, such as the online meetings or digital content we looked at. Or perhaps you could move some of your existing marketing activity online. For example, selling through social media could be an option. So those are some ways we've considered that we could move forward using an online platform. Hopefully those will be helpful. I'm sure there are lots of other examples, and feel free to put any examples in the sidebar if you have any you're interested in.
Questions, put those into the sidebar. There's been a couple of questions that we'll come on to at the end that seem to be aimed at Anna. So thank you very much for those of you who've got involved. Next up, we've got Becca, Becca, more formally known as Rebecca Holloway. If you want to sound all prim and proper. Becca spoke at Sharing Social. For those of you who don't know, Sharing Social is Base Creative's flagship event, and we're using the tools that Greg mentioned now to bring this online. Our next one's at the end of April. If you want to know more about that, then let us know. But let's move on to Becca, talking about the impact of social media, how the impacts of the coronavirus has had on social media in the last few weeks.
Hey everyone. So yeah, I'm going to be talking about what each social media platform is currently doing and how you can adapt your strategy at the moment. So first of all, social media platforms have been one of the primary sources for updates on the coronavirus. Each platform has been bringing the latest updates to the front and center for users, as well as making it easy to access official sources. There have also been a big change in how businesses are communicating during this time. Many have been adjusting their social media strategy by pausing or adapting it accordingly. So I'm now going to go through each platform and their approach. First of all, Twitter. Coronavirus updates have been taking center stage on the app, showing regular live streams of news networks and government broadcasts. This has been helpful to users to stay in the loop and check the latest guidelines. There have also, however, been reports of people muting the words coronavirus, virus, pandemic, because people find this quite overwhelming and don't want to see it on their feed and can cause a lot of anxiety for people. This means that you need to consider your own wording and messaging in your strategy at the moment. Review your content and decide if it's going to be helpful for your audience, and ensure that you're not adding any extra stress or panic. Be careful not to take advantage of the situation though. Next up, Instagram. So they're taking quite a similar approach to Twitter. At the top of your newsfeed, you'll be able to see the Stay Home badge, featuring all the current stories from people you follow using the Stay Home Stories sticker. This has been great to see how people you know are getting on and what they're up to. And this can be utilised by brands to demonstrate their team's culture. For example, if you're working in a team remotely, you could all take a turn to post a story on your brand's Instagram stories to see and to show your audience what part of your day looks like and how you're working from home, and maybe things that make you happy. An example would be if maybe you get to work in your garden, or you're able to spend more time with your family. Just because we can't see each other face to face doesn't mean that you can't show your audience what your team is up to. Moving on to Facebook. They've added lots of ways to keep up to date with the coronavirus situation. When you visit the main menu in the app, you'll be able to see this large sticker in place to take you directly to updates near you and around the world, as well as being able to see the sources of this information. This is really important when you consider the spread of fake news. There is also an option at the moment to add a frame to your profile picture if you want to encourage and increase awareness about the importance of staying inside. They also have a dedicated section on coronavirus, and I think this is probably one of the most in-depth sources across all the social media platforms at the moment. And this shows users why it's important to social distance, as well as the latest headlines and updates from recognised health organisations. This is great for people to keep up to date with the latest information, and it's very widely accessible. There is still this slight feeling that people could become overwhelmed by it, but it is important to stay in touch. This is why you need to consider your content especially using Facebook, think of ways to publish content which acknowledge the fact that users are at home, but perhaps offer them a distraction for a while. A good example of this could be a live stream. Can you take your content live, content that you already have in the form of blog post, for example, or maybe your business can hop on and give your audience a quick Q&A. If you haven't gone live before, now would be quite a good time to test it. Often one of the obstacles for people to go live can be what time of day to do it at. And considering when your users are going to be online, right now, everyone is online all the time. So you can use your Facebook page insights to have a better understanding of your specific audience. But also note that because people are at home, they're working flexible hours, they're going to be online. So this can be a great way for you to engage with your community and provide some of that much needed interaction between your audience and your brand, as well as your team members. Next, we're going to look at LinkedIn. LinkedIn at the moment is putting less emphasis on the pandemic. As of yesterday, you actually had to search for it before you received this notification taking you to the page of facts. But I have seen today it pop up within the feed a couple of times. Their fact page is put together by LinkedIn editors. LinkedIn as a platform is a great place to show transparency within your business right now and connect with other business owners and other people in the same situation. We're all human after all, and this is another way to demonstrate how you can pull together and support one another in a time like this. Content that you could use right now could be regular check-ins, either written posts or short videos would be really great. Document how things are going so far for you and your business and the current challenges you're facing, or victories that you've managed to have during this time. Not only will this remind people that despite this current uncertainty, we're all in the same boat, but we can also offer support to each other and how we're getting around it. This again will help to engage with your audience, and they might also be able to offer you some tips to deal with the current situation. Next, TikTok. I know that it's unlikely you're using TikTok for your business right now, but if you are, let me know because I'd love to check it out. It's still important to look at what TikTok are doing during this phase, because I think they're doing probably one of the best jobs out of all the social media platforms. TikTok have a discovery page, which is very similar to what you might be familiar with in the Instagram discovery page. On TikTok, the trends and different shows are being advertised right now. They have introduced new evening shows labeled with EduTalk, which is where they take current influencers on the platform and do little shows. So right now they've got these cooking ones in the evenings, which are encouraging people to cook at home and use what's in their cupboards and discourage panic buying in supermarkets. They are also featuring a number of self-isolation specific trends and challenges. I think this is great practice by the platform, as it's also increasing awareness across the globe about the actions you can take to, number one, stay as safe as you can by washing your hands, and two, sharing things that you can do from home. If you're wondering what to do next on the platform, these are great places to start, and you can get inspiration from what other users are creating. TikTok, like Facebook, have a very in-depth selection of information and advice on the virus. Here you can see, just pop to the next slide, that they are helping to stop spread any misinformation with their Mythbusters section. So this is great for stopping the spread of fake news, and also might help users feel more at ease in the current climate, knowing what the actual facts are. If you haven't tried TikTok out yet, I would suggest that you encourage your team or give it a go yourself to start sharing some of your business's insights or content in TikTok form. Let's say that you're already a pro at working from home. Maybe you've written a blog post about this in the past or recently. See how you can split this up into TikTok format. So look at the trend in music and the different challenges right now that are happening in the app, and see if you can put your content in that form. Experiment and see what happens, because this is the time that you can do it. Take your niche and consider how you can adapt it. There's been a 96% increase in downloads on TikTok compared to last year. That's, I think, 130 million downloads just last month, and that's heavily related to the fact that people are at home looking for new ways to stay entertained. If you want more insights on TikTok, I'm happy to speak afterwards, as I know it can be a little daunting knowing where to start on the platform if you've not used it before. So to sum up, it's really important to consider the full conversation online. Is your content appropriate right now and relevant to your audience? Does your audience need help from you? An example could be if you can offer any free services through the duration of this lockdown, or helpful materials like how to effectively work at home. Think about ways to be helpful to your audience. If not, make sure your content is empathetic. Be careful not to take advantage of the situation. I think I want to stress that it's okay to be quiet right now. It's much better to reflect and pause, schedule posts that aren't right for this time. You don't want to appear tone deaf in the situation. Connect with your audience, as people are spending more time online than ever before. The influencer agency analysed 260 of their own campaigns, which included more than 7.5 million Instagram posts. They discovered that there was a 76% increase in daily likes on Instagram posts labelled with #ad over the last 2 weeks. So this shows that influencers are still so key at this point in time. And you can use this as an opportunity to build and connect with your community, because there's less of an emphasis right now on selling products, and it's more about driving awareness and spreading positivity where you can. We are in a unique time, and social media use is only going to continue to increase. Over the past few weeks, there has been lots of panic, and I think in some ways denial spreading across social media about what's happening from people. But now is the time to plan a more long-term strategy as people become more accepting of the situation. The key thing to remember is that brands need to be fast acting and adaptive. So if this requires you to update your messaging every day based on the latest updates from the government or what's happening, then do so, because it's going to help you in the long run. It will help you navigate through this time and stay in touch with your audience. I think that's about it from me.
Brilliant. Thank you, Becca. Lots of info there and lots of content. Some of it could feel a bit, overwhelming, lots of ideas as well. So I'm going to put this slide up on the screen. If you want to reach out to any of these three, Anna, Greg, or Becca, on anything they've mentioned, you want to do that outside of this webinar, then take their details. They'll be genuinely more than happy to answer any of your questions you've got. No question is silly, even if you're thinking, what is TikTok? Or maybe what is and how do I engage with an influencer? I'm just going to ask Becca to put Anna back on the screen, if that's okay. There was a question put over in the chat about jobs and about jobs trending as well. Do you think that as more people are unfortunately losing their jobs, the trend for job searches will go up fairly soon? I think we'll be able to hear Anna if we can't hear her. Anna? Oh, no, I can't hear Anna. No one can hear Anna. I'm going to give you 5 seconds, otherwise we're going to move it on. All right. Anna will get back to us on when we send the recording of the webinar around to everyone answering that question. Okay, so lastly, just thank you. It's been our first webinar, and it's taken ages to get it, and only during these uncertain times, but we've been really happy to do it. I'm going to ask Becca to put a poll up. This is just asking you a quick couple of questions. If you click on the right-hand side, you'll be able to see the poll tab. If you click that, you'll see one of our first questions, which is, have you got any value from this? Would you be interested in attending another session? We certainly would love to find a time, or love to do it. We'll find the time to do it if there's enough interest. So let us know on there. That would be great. And also want to know how helpful you thought the session was as well. So you can give us a score out of 5. 5 being, yes, I loved it, fantastic. 1 being, hell was that? we'll all treat the feedback and share it with the guys, and hopefully it's good. As I mentioned earlier, I'll send around the recording of the webinar. You'll feel free to pass it on. It'd be great for you to do that, and as I say, answer any questions you've got. More than happy to help. More importantly, keep in touch and stay healthy. Thanks very much.